Breaking news out of Oak Island has stunned fans across the globe. After decades of digging, silence, and unanswered questions, whispers are spreading that Rick Lagina has finally made a deal involving the very treasure he devoted his life to uncovering. But what's even more shocking is what happened next. Reports claim his entire crew walked away with life-changing money. That raises one unsettling question. Was this really just a treasure, or something far more dangerous? Sources hint that what was found wasn't gold at all, but something ancient, powerful, and closely watched. With government agencies now circling and Rick remaining unusually calm, many believe Oak Island is still hiding its biggest secret. What was discovered that forced such a quiet, sudden sale? Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear changes everything we thought we knew. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because videos like this can disappear, and you don't want to miss what comes next. Trust me, the final revelation changes everything. The entire world was shaken by the news that night, when the headline suddenly appeared on social media. Rick Lagina sold the treasure. People were perplexed, wondering how the thing that made Oak Island famous had now gone to someone else. Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube echoed with a single question. Is Oak Island's mission over? Some claimed Rick sold the treasure and gave the crew millions, while others claimed the real gold was something else, hidden from the world. News channels called it the biggest historical deal of the year. Reporters camped outside Oak Island, but Rick was nowhere to be seen. Reporters tried to corner Marty, but he simply said, "Everything happens for a reason." Upon hearing this, theories began to pour in. Some said Rick had to take this step under pressure, while others claimed he had been contacted by a secret organization. Fans on YouTube began digging up old clips of Rick and analyzing them. At one point he says, "We found something beyond gold." It began to dawn on everyone that perhaps what was found wasn't gold, but some ancient object whose value couldn't be measured. Reddit threads even added Templar code and Vatican connections. The entire world was eager to know the true truth of the deal. The same question echoed everywhere. If the treasure was just gold, why so much secrecy? And if it wasn't gold, what did Rick find? The news of Oak Island was no longer just a discovery. It had become a global mystery. Cameras were zooming, headlines were screaming, and fans were saying, "Rick has sold something that will change history." No one can forget the sight of the garden shaft that morning. Mist was all around, machines were running, and Rick Lagina's team had dug a little deeper. Suddenly, the sound of the drill changed. It seemed as if there was something solid below. Everyone's eyes were glued to the monitor. When the camera was lowered, what it revealed was nothing short of miraculous. A metal box gleaming amidst the mud and water, strangely shaped, as if it had been there for centuries. Rick immediately ordered the excavation to stop and called the entire team together. The moment was so quiet that even the air stopped. Amidst the humming of the machines, Rick said, "If this is what we're looking for, history will change." Then slowly, the mud was removed, the water was drained, and as the chest cleared, strange markings became visible on its surface, as if some ancient symbol had been engraved. A crane was brought onto the site, a massive chain was carefully secured, and everyone stood frozen as the box slowly lifted from the ground. Thick mud dripped from its sides, water poured down, yet its strange golden glow held everyone spellbound. Rick and Marty stood quietly, almost as if they already sensed that whatever lay inside this box was something the world might not be ready to understand. Cameras were rolling, capturing every second. But no one imagined that this footage would one day turn into a global headline. Once the box was lowered onto solid ground, Rick stepped closer and placed his hand on it. The metal felt cold and heavy, covered in symbols that looked like an ancient forgotten language. Someone whispered nervously, "Sir, this doesn't look like gold." Rick simply smiled and replied, "Then maybe it's something even more valuable." From that moment on, the mystery of Oak Island grew deeper, because what they uncovered didn't feel like treasure at all. It felt more like a warning. That night on Oak Island was unlike any other before it. The excavation came to a halt, the machines fell silent, and darkness wrapped around the entire site. But something happened that no one was meant to see. Rumors say that Rick Lagina made a private deal that very night, with no press, no cameras, and no official announcement. Only a handful of people arrived quietly on the island. Documents were signed, and a mysterious container was loaded onto a truck and driven away. That truck never appeared in any official records. When the crew returned the next morning, security around the garden shaft had noticeably increased. Marty told everyone that the excavation was being paused for now. No explanation was given, just that Rick wanted everyone to stay quiet. Soon after, insiders began to talk. Some claimed the deal was worth $40 million, while others said it went as high as $70 million. A few whispered that the buyer was a billionaire collector known for acquiring rare artifacts and locking them away in private vaults. Social media exploded with theories. Did Rick really sell what they found? Who bought it? And why all the secrecy? Reports surfaced saying Rick was present during the deal, but Marty wasn't, which only raised more questions. News crews rushed to Rick's home and back to the island, but security was tight, and no one spoke. According to insiders, Rick agreed to a contract that ensured the object's details would never be revealed, meaning the person who uncovered Oak Island's greatest mystery had now hidden it from the world. And for many fans, that was the hardest part to accept. Why would someone who spent his life searching for the truth suddenly stop sharing it? Some believe Rick had a deeper reason. Maybe he realized that what they discovered wasn't just treasure, but something so powerful or dangerous that revealing it could change everything. When the crew arrived that morning, the atmosphere felt off. The machines were silent, and Rick was nowhere in sight. Marty gathered everyone together and said quietly, "What we found is gone." The words hit hard. Emma Culligan was stunned. She had been the first to spot the chest on sonar, and now it had vanished. Charles felt like years of dedication had been taken away in a single night. Scott Barlow stared at the muddy ground where the box once sat, now marked only by a wet imprint. Some crew members were relieved, as rumors spread that Rick had shared a large sum of money with everyone, yet an uncomfortable sense of guilt hung in the air. Emma finally said, "We found the money, but did we really find what we were searching for?" Marty lowered his head in silence. Rick stood off in the distance, staring at the ocean, looking as though he was questioning whether he had made the right choice. Charles reacted more strongly than anyone else. He told the camera crew, "This was part of our history. Selling it is a betrayal." At that point, filming stopped, as the mood had grown too heavy to continue. Everyone processed the moment differently, some quietly, some with anger, others overcome with emotion. Marty tried to explain that the decision was necessary, but no one felt satisfied. There was no celebration on Oak Island that day, no cheers, no excitement. Only a heavy silence filled the air. After years of chasing the truth behind the treasure, the team now found themselves trapped in a new mystery. Why did Rick sell it? Was it really treasure, or something the world was never meant to have? That day, the crew learned that not every discovery brings happiness. Some discoveries leave behind nothing but fear. Just days after Rick Lagina's secret deal, another shocking update emerged from Oak Island. Crew members were reportedly given million-dollar payments. The news spread fast and sent shockwaves across the internet. At first, fans assumed it was just another rumor. But as specific names began to surface, it became clear that something major had taken place. Reports claimed that Rick personally paid his core team. Marty Lagina, Charles Barkhouse, Scott Barlow, Emma Culligan, and other senior members were each given millions of dollars. The biggest question on everyone's mind was simple: why? According to insiders, Rick made these payments as a gesture of gratitude, ensuring that every member felt their years of hard work hadn't been wasted. Marty received the largest portion, mainly because he had been the primary financial backer of the entire excavation. Emma was also given a substantial amount, as she was the first scientist to identify the metallic box through sonar readings. Charles, who had stood by Rick season after season without hesitation, reportedly received a $1 million bonus as well. Scott and the engineering team were given smaller portions, but even those amounts were large enough to change lives. Still, despite the money, not everyone felt at peace. Some crew members believed the payments weren't just gratitude, but a way to silence guilt and avoid uncomfortable questions. Emma reportedly said off-camera, "We received the money, but what we lost matters far more." Charles was even more direct, stating, "No amount of money can justify selling history." It became clear that a deep emotional divide had formed within the team. Online, fans began calling the payments blood money. Reddit threads exploded with theories. Many believed Rick paid everyone to keep them quiet and prevent leaks of sensitive information. Yet Rick never offered a detailed explanation. All he said was, "Everyone received their share, and that chapter is closed." But in reality, the Oak Island story was far from over. It had only grown darker and more mysterious. Just days after the deal, the mood on Oak Island changed dramatically. Areas that were once freely accessed by the crew and camera team were now guarded by armed security personnel. Large black SUVs, marked with symbols resembling a government seal, were seen entering and leaving the site. No one was told who these people were. The only explanation given was, an official inspection is underway. However, insiders claimed these were government agents and historians sent directly from the mainland. The level of secrecy raised even more questions. Emma Culligan later revealed that new equipment had suddenly been installed around the site. Scanners, radiation detectors, and sealed containment crates appeared overnight. The crew was ordered to stay away from the exact location where the box had been discovered. Rick held private conversations with the agents, but the camera crew was completely barred from those areas. Marty reportedly tried to object, but was warned that any interference could legally shut down the project. It became clear that Oak Island was no longer fully under Rick's control. Historians also arrived, but their work seemed different from the government officials. They photographed ancient symbols, took detailed notes, and quietly discussed theories among themselves. Some whispered that the artifact might be connected to an ancient civilization or even early military technology. The government's involvement only fueled public speculation. Fans began asking online, if it was just gold, why would the government get involved? Reddit users wrote, "This isn't a treasure hunt anymore. This feels like a cover-up." Almost overnight, Oak Island turned into a heavily guarded zone. What was once a symbol of adventure and discovery now felt tense and unsettling. Around the same time, Rick disappeared once again. No one knows exactly where he went, but many believe he is no longer acting alone. As news of the deal spread, experts and historians began sharing their own theories. Many suggested that the chest found on Oak Island wasn't filled with gold or jewelry, but was instead an artifact tied to an ancient civilization. University archaeologists who studied images of its structure said it didn't resemble a traditional treasure chest at all. The metal appeared unusual, neither pure gold nor copper, but a material modern science struggled to identify. Several experts pointed out that the symbols engraved on the chest closely resembled markings from the European medieval period, particularly those associated with the Knights Templar. A cross inside a triangle, surrounded by a circular marking, matched symbols found on known Templar relics. This led to speculation that the box could have been part of a secret Templar vault hidden on Oak Island centuries ago. Rick's continued silence only strengthened these theories. He never referred to the object as gold, or even an artifact. Instead, he simply said, "It's something history isn't ready for." That single sentence ignited even more curiosity and suspicion among fans. Some researchers began suggesting that if the object truly was a Templar relic, it might contain knowledge or items considered sensitive by both the Church and modern governments. The media quickly labeled this idea the hidden artifact theory. Documentary filmmakers started retracing ancient Templar routes that might lead to Oak Island. Online, Reddit threads and YouTube channels exploded with speculation. Was it the Holy Grail? Or a document that could rewrite the origins of Christianity itself? There was no solid proof, yet new theories surfaced almost every single day. At this point, the mystery of Oak Island was no longer just about buried treasure. Many people started believing that what Rick had uncovered was a secret tied to human history, something so powerful that revealing it could shake global faith systems and disrupt the balance of power. Some began to think that Rick hadn't sold it at all, but instead chose to hide it somewhere secure, keeping it out of the wrong hands. After a full week of silence, Rick Lagina finally appeared on camera. He looked exhausted, his face worn, and his eyes heavy from sleepless nights. Yet there was something deeper in them, as though he had seen something impossible to put into words. Sitting before the camera, he paused, took a deep breath, and said, "What we found. It was probably not meant for the world yet." That single sentence was enough to bring everything to a standstill. His voice carried both fear and relief, as if he had just released an enormous weight from his chest. Rick didn't explain further. He only added that the Oak Island excavation had changed him deeply. "Sometimes, finding the truth is the greatest risk," he said. His words moved the crew to tears. Emma stared down at the floor in silence, while Marty remained expressionless. It felt as though Rick wanted to say more, but knew that revealing the full truth could trigger consequences impossible to control. His brief confession sparked an immediate internet firestorm. Fans claimed, "Rick is hiding something. He's bound by a secret oath." Others analyzed his tone, saying he sounded afraid, as if he had been warned. Some viewers even claimed to notice strange symbols in the background of the video, the same symbols engraved on the mysterious chest. That moment marked an emotional turning point in Oak Island's history. This was no longer just a treasure hunt. It had become a story of sacrifice, guilt, and a secret that might never come to light. Rick's words made one thing painfully clear. Whatever he had found was not meant to be revealed to the world, but protected from it. And perhaps that was why he chose silence, because some discoveries are simply too dangerous to share. After Rick's statement, the Oak Island team found itself divided. Some members felt relief and happiness, believing they had finally received something for years of dedication and hard work. Others, however, felt deeply unsettled. A direct confrontation erupted between Charles Barkhouse and Emma Culligan. Emma believed Rick had made the right decision. "Maybe the world just isn't ready for this," she said. Charles, furious, fired back. "We came here to uncover the truth, not to bury it." The argument grew so intense that Marty had to step in to stop it. Slowly, a fracture formed within the crew. Some stood firmly by Rick, insisting that if he made such a decision, there had to be a powerful reason behind it. Others, like Charles, believed the entire mission of Oak Island had lost its original meaning. Emma argued that allowing the artifact to fall into the wrong hands could be dangerous for humanity, while Charles believed that hiding it was the real danger. Members of the production team later revealed that tensions during filming became so extreme that cameras had to be shut down multiple times. Scott Barlow summed it up quietly, saying, "We're still one team, but it feels like a wall has been built between us." Rick rarely spoke, but his silence said everything. Guilt weighed heavily on him. Marty tried his best to hold the group together, yet there was no longer a shared direction. The Oak Island team, once united like a family, was slowly coming apart. In the end, it wasn't gold or artifacts that were lost. The greatest loss of all was trust. Charles's final words stayed with the crew long after they were spoken. "If we ourselves become afraid of the truth, then consider the story of Oak Island over." In that moment, something fundamental shifted. For the first time, the soul of the mission was shaken. The search was no longer about uncovering treasure, but about preserving trust, and that made everything far more complicated. Just a few weeks after Rick Lagina's deal, a new rumor spread like wildfire. Reports claimed that the Oak Island artifact had been sold to a billionaire collector. The story exploded across the internet, quickly becoming a headline for major news outlets around the world. According to whispers, this collector was no ordinary billionaire, but one of the most powerful and secretive figures alive. Some speculated he was connected to a European royal family, while others believed he was a technology tycoon known for acquiring rare artifacts and forbidden relics. What made the story even more unsettling was one simple fact. His identity has never been revealed. Insiders claimed the transaction involved a private jet. A sealed metal container was allegedly transported from Oak Island to Halifax under the cover of darkness, then loaded onto a classified flight. No official record showed where that plane went. Some believe it flew to Switzerland, others say Dubai, while a few insist the container never left, and now rests in a heavily guarded underground vault. Only the collector is said to have access, with armed security posted around the site at all times. Rick refused to comment on these rumors. When a reporter once asked him directly, "Did you sell the artifact to a wealthy buyer?" Rick paused and answered calmly, "Some treasures find their own owners." The response left everyone unsettled. It revealed nothing, yet deepened the mystery, making the truth feel farther away than ever. If you think this is only the beginning, make sure to comment, hit the like button, share this story, and don't forget to subscribe. Because in the next video, we'll uncover the mystery that still pulses beneath Oak Island.